Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Kev the Noise Davis. This is the podcast Cards to Cars, episode number 6, and I'm very pleased to welcome Lochlan, shearsmith, and Chris Purvis. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And spending some time in the plush studios of Isolation Studios. It is another story of not just karting, not just international experience, but also car racing. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty very soon. But Chris, we are going to get to you with your experience because you've got an awful lot as well. And you do play an integral part in the development of young Lockie. Yep. And that's going to be a real interesting part in the second half of the show. But the first half, we want to talk about your karting career and how it all started. So first of all, at a very young age, I'm thinking well, not that young, but you wanted to get into karting, and then you had a bit of a sort of a strange introduction of how you were going to tell us how it started. Going past, was it Harry's house?
Yes.
Yeah. Give us that story. What happened?
Yeah. So I was interested in racing and stuff, and there was a kid that lived on the same street as me. He was a few years older, and we caught the bus together. And yeah, I sort of walked past his house, noticed that he had a few go-karts in there, and eventually worked up the courage to have a conversation with him. And I went up to him and asked him about the karting and how to get into it, and he helped me a lot from there, helped us find a card and gave us all the information we needed, and yeah, made it very easy to get into karting, whereas we thought it would be pretty difficult to do.
And that's where the Oscar career began, I guess.
Yeah.
You bought a cart, and did he mind you stalking him, by the way? Obviously you're mates now, I'd imagine, because you've stalked him for a while. So you got yourself a go-kart.
Yep.
Obviously with help of Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
And you went to Oscar's.
Yes.
And this is about 2021?
Yeah. So 2021 was my first season, and Harry raced with Oscart, so we went and raced with Oscart first and did a few seasons there.
How old were you then?
So I was 11 when I first got into it.
Righto. And you had to get special dispensation to race in the class you were in or anything, or was it straight into a junior class?
Yeah, so I went straight into a junior class, and then did a season, and then in my second season, Mark Walker, which was the current president at the time, came up to me and said, hey, do you want an exemption to race in the senior categories, to race in performance classes?
So did he feel you were too quick and getting so much experience in the juniors at an early stage of your karting career with Oscar's, especially, that you needed to move up into a more senior class? Is that why that
Yeah, so he was watching my races, and I was only 12 at the time, and he saw that I was going all right, saw that I was comfortable in the karts and had good driver craft to be able to move in and race with the seniors comfortably.
Right. At that point, was it only Lakeside, or was it already moving around to the other circuits around South East Queensland in the SEQ round, in the SEQ?
So my first season was only Lakeside. It was just as we were getting out of COVID, so the club was sort of getting back on their feet a bit, and then he said to me at the start of the SEQ series, and Nanango was the first event, and
that's the one
was
Wolven told me about. That was a really good event, I believe.
Yes, it was an awesome event, and that was my first time in the senior categories.
Yeah, right, okay, and a new track as well then.
Yeah, so, brand new track, brand new class.
So again, from an early age, you've got in and you've got dispensation to go seniors. Now you're starting to learn different tracks in a senior car, so you're kind of developing at a fairly steep learning curve. But you were still comfortable in how that was going? Everything was all good?
Yeah. I never felt like I was pressured in to do anything or chucked in the deep end. It was always me wanting to make that step forward.
Yeah. All right. So you've had a couple of years at this now.
Yes.
You've moved on. 2023, we're almost into it, just about, and having a proper tilt at championships in the Oscar Series. How did you develop further, and how did you go? What were your main aims of those seasons and in the senior classes? What did you want to get out of it?
So the senior classes before 2023 and 2022 was more just to get used to racing the faster karts and really just have a bit of fun with it and continue to learn about them. I really liked racing in unrestricted because it meant I got to build my own engines and experiment with that, which was really good because it taught me a lot about how engines work and how to make them go faster.
Yeah, which is going to come in very handy when we start talking to Chris. I think that's going to be
Yes.
that's going to be an integral part of your learning path from karts to cars. So, tell me how the Spain thing came around, because just like Zach Walvin, you got a chance to go over to the T4 Tillotson race in Spain.
Yeah,
So you're an international racer.
Yes.
Tell us how it occurred, what happened, and how you did.
So yeah, it started off with Andy T. He was a Tilson distributor in Queensland at the time, and he was good mates of ours, and he helped me quite a lot. He helped me get my exemption with SEK to race in the Tilson light class there. So I was only 14, so I had to get an exemption because I was still 2 years too young.
Yeah.
And then, I did really well over there. I did really well in that event. And then he was like, oh, there's the Tilson Nations Cup. Would you be interested in going into that? So, and I spoke to mum and dad, and we were pretty keen.
The money people. Well, I know where you're coming from. Yeah. Well done. Good first move.
So we decided that was where we wanted to go with it, Dad doesn't like to fly, so
neither do I. Most people don't like flying, but some have to anyway. So your dad never went?
No. We didn't. The mechanic that we were going to get over there bailed out on us, so it was just me running the cart, and then Mum was there as well.
So you and karting tip, you and the 10mm spanner. That was so crikey. I ran. We call that in at the deep end.
Yeah,
because I've seen photos of the Spain thing, and it's like 190 carts lined up on a track. You suddenly feel like an international racer. I'd imagine everyone wants to talk to you because you're an Aussie, but you're now going to do it all on your own.
Yes, so I was my mechanic for the weekend as well as driving, so to speak. So that was quite. Yeah. I'd done a little bit before, just at Ozcard or some KA rounds, but never to that with that much pressure and that on it.
Yeah, but experience-wise, was that really good fun and a really good learning curve and something you looking back on and think, wow, I'm glad that happened, or was it too frightening and you didn't really take it all in? What was it like?
I think it was awesome the way that it worked out, because I did have Chris on the end of the phone and Dad, which they both helped me a lot. Yeah. But it was good to sort of be chucked in the deep end, so to speak, as it meant that I had to make all the changes myself and had to do everything myself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's tremendous. I got to admit, I do a little bit of racing, as you know, in the Duros.
Yes.
And that frightens me. Just local club racing. So to do the same thing abroad on your own, it's like, wow, that would just be mind blowing. So well done. That's really good. I just want to quickly talk before we move from karts to cars, because I really want to really delve deep into the car side of how you got there. The karting achievements. I've got a list here, which is I can't read this. We'll go through another 10 minutes. I won't go through them all. But if I go through the first couple, I'll let you elaborate on a couple. So junior light second place, 2021. Unrestricted late side first. Restricted SEQ first. Unrestricted club champion. SEQ round 7 T4 first. The list goes on. New South Wales States second, ultimate club racer in Victoria, new club third. I mean, you've got some experience and some great achievements. List us off a few more if you wish, but that must be really good that you've got those sort of that experience and that little that knowledge behind you that you can get to the front and win races.
Yes, another ones that I really like were last year I did the 2023 Performance Single Medium Enduro Championships. Me and my partner Will, we did that, and we did quite well in it. We had a lot of issues throughout the races, like clutches would wear and strip the teeth, sprockets would wear, so there was pretty much not one race where we didn't have an issue, but we worked through it every race and got ahead of it. And then I did senior light and performance single medium in the sprints with Ozcard, and it was pretty hectic doing both of those championships because it was two carts, double the seat time, and every round we only had one race in between. So I'd pretty much get out of one cart, take the other cart to the grid, then hop straight into it. I didn't even have enough time to take my helmet off or anything.
Wow, that's full on.
So that was...
Looking back on it, you can't, and I know you still race because you do the enduro.
Yes.
You've just been active for your race today, so you won't race this Sunday yet. But as racing goes, looking back, you've had a lot of karting career. Is it you now want to go all cars and get as far as you can and enjoy your car racing career? Is that the way you're looking at going?
Yeah.
Just briefly.
After I did my championships last year, I sort of felt that I'd done everything I wanted to do in karting and wanted to move on to cars.
All right. Okay. Now, I'm going to move on to cars now. First of all, we are going to introduce Chris now, so I'm going to get you to shut up for a minute, and we will elaborate a little bit more. But I just want to talk to Chris. Chris, thanks for coming in and joining us in the podcast. Great to have you here. A guy of so much experience and somebody who runs race teams. It's really good that you're going to be able to give us an insight into how you get a kid from karts to cars. But first of all, yourself, just a little bit of a rundown on your history. You started karting from 7, but I'm going to let you give us a rundown on what you've done.
Oh, yeah, so basically, 7 years old, started karting, and just like Lochlan, it was, I was introduced to it. My dad was really heavy into motorsport, and we sort of went to a race meeting, and there was at a place called Emeroo Park, which is in New South Wales, no longer there anymore. But anyway, there was a demonstration, and straight away I was hooked. I said, Dad, this is what I want to do. And Dad went out and bought one. And and I look back, and from that age through to, I was still racing karts when I was 24, 25. Whilst I was also racing cars. So so everything from rookies, juniors, seniors, back in the old Formula A, Formula K with the Risa valves and stuff like that. So a lot of karting.
And then you moved from karting into many different forms of car racing. So you've done Formula Ford, and you just give us a rundown on the cars that you went into on the racing.
Well, look, we transitioned from go-karts, of course, back in the 90s, was Formula Ford, if you wanted to go further forward.
Which I believe Chaz Mostert went that route, didn't he? Is that the route that Mostert
Every V8 supercar driver, except for one currently, basically took the Formula Ford route.
Okay.
So it's a category that is still highly regarded as the type of vehicle and category to move on from go-karts. But look, we did Formula Ford, and unfortunately Mum and Dad couldn't sort of take me beyond where I wanted to in Formula Ford, so we then went to Formula V to try and see if we could actually win championships with Formula V to get seen, of course, because we just didn't have the budget with Formula Ford. And so I did, probably around about 10 years for Formula V. Parents spent a lot of money, which is quite unbelievable back then, because we were spending, a lot of money and to win championships. Unfortunately, didn't get there, but we sort of kept on with Formula Ford after that. But it was more than I was doing it for myself. And just enjoying my motorsport.
Okay, and you got to drive Formula 3 as well at some point?
Once I sort of got it finished with my Formula Ford, I actually went into sports cars. So sports car racing, which they like a lot of motorcycle powered cars that come from America and Europe. So I did that for about 5 years up in Queensland, and then decided to I had the opportunity to finally get into Formula 3. And like before that, my dad passed away, and my dad always wanted me to get into Formula 3. And it was an achievement. And it was a hard achievement to get into it because of cost factor and everything. But I finally did it. So
Now I believe now you run Aussie race cars and Formula V teams, Formula Ford teams as well?
So what I do is I've got a mentorship program, have a couple of Formula Fords, which are like national spec Formula Fords. And the idea was just to transition the kids from go-karts into Formula Fords, and then hopefully then move them on or join them to, their greater careers.
Yeah, yeah.
And look, I've had to sort of step back a little bit from Formula Ford.
Yeah.
It's just hard at the moment with of course budgets and getting kids into that style of racing. And with Aussie racing cars, it's a little bit more marketable. Because we're with the V8 supercars.
Everybody loves the
Everyone
Aussie
loves
race
it.
cars. There's like 40 on track in there at a time.
Well, the first round this year there was 45,
and they sound better than V8 supercars.
And
everybody loves the sound of an Aussie race car,
and and better racing than V8 supercars. So Aussie racing cars at the moment. So
cool. Right. Now that's where we come back to Lockie. Now, obviously, the mentorship means that Lockie at some point met you, and he was very lucky to have met you. And I believe he did a bit of spannering for you first, and did a bit of helping out. So, Lockie, tell us how it wasn't through Tinder or anything, I presume. So tell us how you met and what you did and what you've done with Chris, and then how that developed into having a go in the carts on the green screen behind us right now as an Aussie race car. Get us up to that point, would you?
So I actually met Chris out at Ipswich Car Club, funnily enough. He was doing a demonstration showing his open wheel race cars and stuff, and we went over there, and me, mum and dad went over and had a chat, and told Chris a bit about my engine building and my interest in the cars and stuff, and we asked him if I could go over to his workshop one day and learn a bit more about them, and we lined that up, went over there one day in the school holidays, and it was the coolest thing ever to go to a race car workshop.
And everybody wants to go see race cars, don't they?
See so many different race cars and stuff, and
like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
And then that was a really good day, and then a few months later, Chris gave me a call and asked me if I was busy one weekend, and he had a test day coming up in the Formula Ford and Aussie racing car at the time, and he asked me if I could go out and give him a hand, and it was so cool. Dad dropped me off, and then he dropped me off at a meeting point, and then Chris took me up to the track. We spent the day working on the cars, and then
it's like being part of a proper race team. So it'd be real. It's everyone's dream to be part of a team.
I still love it.
Putting drivers in cars, making sure everything's right, sending them and tweaking things when they get back. It's so cool. So that would have been really cool. Cool.
One of the first jobs he got me to do was a full nut and bolt check on all the suspension. It took forever.
All the jobs.
One of those essential jobs that everybody gets to do, but you watch them.
And a lot of people don't do.
Then I did another two test days I went and helped him with. There's another one at Morgan Park, and then one at Queensland Raceway. And then Chris asked me if I wanted to have a go on the Aussie racing car myself.
Wow. Did you pinch yourself and check you were actually awake? My God. So you get to go. Now you helped out. You've been a mechanic for just a few sessions, and all of a sudden you're going to jump in one of them peaks. That must be just whoa. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was
hectic.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So it was out at Queensland Raceway, and it was awesome. The first time I hopped in it was my first time with the clutch. So I'd never driven a car with the clutch or gearbox. Right. So they're sequential, so you only use the gearbox taking off. You didn't need it. You only use the clutch taking off.
And then after that,
you don't need you don't need it for gear changes.
Like all the Hoonas that pinch cars. I think that's what they do. So you got in the car, man. Go on.
Yeah, it was really cool. I absolutely loved the day, and I'm forever thankful for the experience. And then at that point I knew that I wanted to make the transition from karting to cars.
Right. So Chris, coming back to you, now you've presented with a kid that's had to go in a car. His eyes have lit up. He's gone, oh my God, I want to go racing. You've got to present something now with a kid that can drive go-karts. He's now showing he's loving the car, but he wants to go a certain career path. You've got to sort of design a package where he's going to enjoy his racing, but he's going to be competitive
100%.
and he's going to be safe. is going to be fast.
Yep.
There's a bit to think about. And you've got to take all that in
Yep.
and decide, where do I steer
Yep.
a really enthusiastic, because every kid would be enthusiastic. They don't want to jump in and go and kill themselves. But you've got to design something that's going to
Correct.
get him right. So how was the thought process in there for bringing Lockie out from karts to cars?
Yeah, well, for me, it's all about, it's not just about driving. It's about sort of the whole experience, and it's the initial sort of part of what do you do prior to being a driver. So, you know, when I first met Lockie and we spoke a lot on the phone, and I was, you know, in sort of with him with his karting, but on the phone, and helping him, you know, sort of how to transition from karting through to cars, meaning driving notes, setup notes, and this is something that I find a lot of karters just don't do, and they're not sort of put in that direction, and then they're basically thrown in the deep end into cars at a young age.
I know a couple of karters. Brendan Goff, for example, Brendan with the knee, and I'll get him to watch this when he does. I've seen him with his note, he's meticulous with his notes at every single race he does right now. Absolutely meticulous. But I've seen the new karters. It's all data, and I'm going to have the DPE guys on next week. That for those guys, they've all gone data, but they're not going note still. They're just going data still. So there's definitely a development going on with kart racers where they're going one way or another. But
look, I'm old school. Yes, data is everything, but you also have to have driving notes. The driver has to then be able to talk to an engineer who gathers the data. So the two mix together. You can't have one or the other. You have to have both.
It's almost like you write down your base setup. If you haven't got your base setup, how do you know where to start from next week? If it's raining, what do you tweak on a base setup? Well, you'd know what to tweak.
That's right.
If there's no base setup there, you don't know what to tweak.
100%. So if the driver doesn't know what he's talking about, then he can't then sort of give that information to the engineer of what needs changing compared to the data that's received. All
right. So we've gone from an Aussie race car girl to a Formula V. How did that happen? Tell us how that story began.
Yeah, so I was having a look at them, and we're like, oh, all right, well, we're going to Formula V. We got a car, and Chris came over and helped us get it all set up. We did the custom seat insert, and got Chris to check over everything, make sure it was fine. We had to put a new fire extinguisher in because of the new rules that Motorsport Australia brought in this year. And then, I was off to Lakeside for my first test day.
So your own car, test day, Lakeside.
Yeah.
Did you go with him, Chris? Did you?
Yeah, I went with him. Yeah.
So going from your Aussie race car into his own Formula V, did you tell him not to smash it up on his first day? Or did you tell him to send it? What did you do?
Well, firstly, I told him, make sure you don't send it into the wall, because that's actually my very first Formula V as well.
Oh, wow.
So, it was amazing. You know, they purchased my very first Formula V, so that's got a lot of sentimental value to me as well.
Do not break it.
Do not break it. So, because I so developed a lot of that car. So, so went there and sort of just helped them out with, sparing, making sure that the car is safe. Number one, the car has to be safe. And then, just sort of giving him some pointers on what to do, what not to do, of course. And, sometimes you just have to sort of step back because, especially first time, a little bit too much information. So you just want to just make sure you just,
So it's more of a watch and learn. For him especially, first time out there, he's got to learn how, first of all, the car handles,
100%.
Second, the corners on the track and where the braking points are and everything. So it's just about getting used to steering, driving, grip levels, understeer, oversteer, all that kind of stuff.
Lot.
See how it feels, get faster and faster and faster, learn the ropes, and then develop it from there on.
Correct.
How did you feel on your first day? Did you feel you went well, everything was good and you enjoyed it?
I really loved the experience. Everything went smoothly. I didn't bin the car, which is always a positive.
Just to keep your mentor happy. I know what you're doing.
I spent I spent a bit of the day just trying to learn the gear changes and learn the box, because I'd never driven H pattern or needed to worry about heel toe shifting or anything. In it, as soon as I was downshifting, it was just wanting to compression lock. So I really had to learn to heel toe very quickly. So that was a bit of learning in the first session, but other than that, everything ran smoothly.
Brilliant. Now from there, obviously you've gone on and you're doing awfully well in a few championships. So I want you to briefly run through us how you've progressed and how you're now racing in this car, because I think you've got some great successes already. Give us a rundown on where you've gotten to so far in the car.
Yeah, so I did the Lakeside practice day that we just spoke about. Then I did one at Queensland Raceway, which we saw a lot of progress. We we shaved 2 seconds off our time or something like that.
Yeah, over 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was. We made a lot of progress that week. It was just an afternoon session actually. We made a lot of progress that afternoon, and then we went to Morgan Park and did a practice day before my first race and that was at Morgan Park.
Yeah.
So there was a sprint race, so that was very cool, because it was also a different format, because sprints are all off your best time rather than wheel to wheel racing. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. I managed to win the weekend, which that was the coolest feeling. My first race in a car, and to walk away winning it was awesome. Yeah. And then we continued on. That's a Queensland State Super Sprint series. So we actually had last weekend we were out at Morgan Park doing round 3 of that. So that championship's going well. I won 3 of the. We've only done 3 rounds, and I've won all 3. So leading that championship.
3 from 3.
So that
in
was
your first season.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
And then we've got the Queensland State Sprint Series, which is also at Morgan Park. It's a 2-round event. So I did round 1, and I was the fastest at that one too. So we've got round 2 coming up at the start of October.
Yeah.
And then we're also doing the Formula V Australian Series.
Yeah.
So that was so round 1 was at Morgan Park, and that was a busy weekend. Did 8 laps in practice, blew the engine.
This is the one I've seen all over Facebook. And you got an engine from somewhere.
No, so we went and bought the car. We went and bought a car Saturday morning. So we brought another car Saturday morning. Then Saturday night we were up till 12 o'clock getting the new engine put in the car. Got it all ready for Sunday.
Yeah.
And then obviously the not doing qualifying or any of the races, didn't get any points for the round. Yeah. But it was awesome.
Brilliant. Cool.
Yeah, loved that. And then we're going on to do Sydney, which is coming up in October.
Sydney Motorsport Park?
No, it's
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
Oh, Wakefield. Yeah, right, okay.
Oh, it's actually not Wakefield anymore.
One raceway.
One race. Right.
Yeah, right, okay, cool. Yeah.
And then going to Phillip Island in November.
Wow. Yeah, that is just, you're a very lucky boy.
He is very
I'm going to ask another question, Chris. So now that you've got a true racer on your hands and he's shown real pedigree in a open wheel race car, it now means tenths mean business. So how do you tweak him now to get, when you go to an existing circuit that he knows, how do you tweak that last few tenths out of him? Or you go to a brand new circuit, how do you get him to learn it in a really quick time to get him competitive? What's the thought process there?
The thought process is just, well, first of all, is just go and firstly enjoy what he's doing. Because once you enjoy it, then that's when you actually start doing good. But look, it's just learning the track. Lockie's pretty lucky enough that he's got a good simulator at home as well. Yeah. So he does a lot of sim experience. Yeah. And then, of course, going out to the track and then just going through his notes, doing track walks, and then basically what you learn before you go on the track, do it on the track. Yeah. And then, of course, from there, then you just actually go that little bit further, deeper in braking, etc. Just
on the simulator side of it, we've spoken about notes.
Yep.
We've spoken about data.
Yep.
And that's also come up in a recent conversation. Simulators are absolutely imperative nowadays. If you really 100%. Want to learn something and learn it quickly, you get it on your sim. And before you even got to a circuit, you almost know the breaking points and the direction of the track. And is that something you find really, really useful? Does it get you that extra tenth that you need to learn something really quickly rather than learn it in the first 3 slow sessions of the circuit?
Well, they obviously do have their differences between simulator and real life, but they're really good because you can get a general idea of where the breaking point is, and it really helps you familiarise the track layout, which is the biggest bit. You can sort of get an idea of where, if it's better to get a slightly later apex through a certain corner or something, and it just gives you makes you a bit more familiar with the track.
Cool. All right. So let me ask one last question, and it's a key question. What's the future hold for Lochlan Shearsmith?
So I want to, obviously I love...
This is the big dream. Your mum's nearby. Well, that's where the money comes from. So be careful how you answer that question, right? Now carry on. Now you've had the warning. Keep going.
Obviously I love driving. I want to be able to go and race overseas, and I'd love to make a career out of driving, but every kid wants to make a career out of driving. So my plan B, so to speak, is to do something along the design and development process of the car. So I'm looking at studying motorsport engineering, and then hoping to work with some more race teams and do like an engineer type role for a race team. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, while still trying to race at the same time, obviously.
Yes, exactly.
As much as you can.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. And you want to keep developing and keep him going on that path and getting noticed, I guess.
Getting noticed, that's the main thing in motorsport. You know, if you get noticed, you portray yourself.
It attracts sponsors.
Attract sponsors. It's not just, like I've always said to him, it's not about the driving side of motorsport. There's a lot more involved behind the scenes to make a professional race car career.
Yeah, cool. And hopefully it's going to be a shining career.
Yes.
We hope so. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming into the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both.
Thank you.
Really good story. Thank you again. And we'll wish you all the best in your motorsport career, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.